This is one ugly tomato right here. Check this thing out. It's got all kinds of little marks in it, divots, different things like this in this tomato. And this is a very common thing to happen in the garden. It doesn't destroy the tomato in any way. It just looks funky. So what we're going to do is talk about why this happened on this particular tomato and just kind of go through the different options that you might have with taking care of tomatoes like this. So my tomatoes are looking pretty good overall. You can see they're big and bushy, and we've got some really nice, good looking green tomatoes right here, just waiting on them to ripen up a bit. So here is the plant that this one came off of. In fact, you can see where I cut it off right over here off of that little branch. But I've got some good looking tomatoes that have a little bit of cat facing happening on the bottom right there too. They look good mostly on the top, but the bottom's got a little bit of that, and that's very common. It kind of appears at the bottom of a tomato. Next to it, I've got this other one over here that's got a little bit of that forming, but again, it's not that big of a deal. This will not affect the flavor, the taste, or the edibility of, if edibility is a word, but if it's edible or not on your plate. So you can go ahead and eat these, they'll be just fine. Now what can cause this is they say that herbicide damage can do it. I did not use any herbicides in this bed, but I do know what caused this to happen for my tomato. So what actually happened was a condition called fasciation, and that's where your blooms or your flowers deform. They kind of create a weird, almost a double flower-like shape to it. And that's what actually happened on this particular fruit. This here is a normal looking flower, but you can check this out. Here's a photo of the fasciated bloom that I took. I noticed it early off and I thought it was kind of interesting looking, and I was curious to see what would become of it. And of course, we got that deformed, mutated tomato out of that fasciated flower. Now, there's not a whole lot you can do about it when you end up with a fasciated tomato plant. It's not really caused by anything you can control. Sometimes it's genetics, sometimes it's the weather conditions. It could potentially be overspray from pesticides, herbicides, and things like that. But in this case, it was just a fasciated flower, and there's not much I can do to prevent a fasciated flower from forming. Heirloom tomato plants do have a tendency to do this kind of thing. So they will create these fasciated blooms, which then turn into the deformed fruit that you see. And it's just not something that you can really do much about. If you do see a fasciated bloom and you don't want to have a tomato like that, the best thing you can do is to just pinch off that particular bloom. And when you pinch off that bloom, it will re-exert energy into the other flowers of the plant or growing in another way, like through the leaves or the branches and stuff, and then you won't have to worry about that fasciated plant that's going to appear later. So over time, your tomatoes will normalize. Once the weather patterns have kind of stabilized, it shouldn't be a problem. Things are going to warm up a little bit, and then your tomatoes will form a little bit more like these over here, where they're nice and round and good slicing tomatoes. But this fruit is still very good to eat. It should be perfectly fine using any kind of salad dishes you want to do, cooking it into a spaghetti pasta type dish, or whatever you like to use your tomatoes for. The only thing it probably wouldn't be great on is a slice type of tomato where you're sticking it with your BLTs, which is one of our family favorite dinners actually this time of year. And one bonus tip for that, if you ever want to improve your BLTs, turn them into BBTs, which is when you're using basil instead of lettuce. I'm Dave with Growing the Home Garden. I really appreciate you watching. Hit the like button, subscribe, and then go eat some really delicious tomatoes.